Good morning, everyone. You guys ready to have the best brain day ever? Now, we all have a brain, and we have a body. But sometimes we wonder whether this is our brain, this is our body, because sometimes our brain does things which we don't want it to. We may engage in behaviors like smoking, or food compulsions, or anxiety, or depression, or all these wonderful things that our brain just has a habitual way of doing. Now, you know, sometimes you'll be in a situation, you'll walk into the situation, and before you know it, your body could be trembling, your brain could be racing, your emotions may be all over the place, and it just happens automatically, so to speak. Well, your brain actually fires up to 10 seconds before you're consciously aware of it. Now, for most people, because of all the wonderful hypnotists we've been around, our parents, our teachers, our peers, these fear-based mechanisms have programmed our brain to be steeped in fear, anxiety, hesitation, procrastination. But that doesn't have to be the case. And in fact, you can reprogram your automatic to be more focused, to have a better memory, to get things done, all the wonderful things that we want and desire. So today, in 45 minutes or less, I'm going to give you the how-to manual, how your brain works, and how to use your brain to develop any abilities that you want. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about isn't in popular neuroscience books yet. And I'm working on that and work with a lot of really brilliant leaders in neuroscience and the brain industry. I apprenticed with Dr. Richard Bandler, who's the creator of Neurolinguistic Programming and trance, so the ways of using the mind to reprogram the brain. How I got into this was always a really bright guy, really fast brain though, and anxiety, panic attacks. And in third year university, I was hospitalized after 3 straight panic attacks, had drug addictions, and then I made a decision where enough was enough and decided to pursue everything I could to optimize and control my own brain. Now, all you guys in the audience here, have you heard of the term neuroplasticity? So, neuroplasticity, just a basic definition for you, is that the property of your brain that your experience and your mind and your activities actively shape the structure and function of your brain. And this plasticity exists from cradle to the grave. And I've had people with Alzheimer's come in, and I put them, do a trance, do some work, give them a super love and libido mocha brain beverage, and they're talking in both English and Italian in 30 minutes. And I have like videos of it with them brain hooked up with the QEEG brain mapping so we can see actually what's going on in their brain as we begin to reawaken the brain. So the fact of the matter is, you can teach old dogs new tricks. So ladies, for any husbands you have who are stubborn and stuck in their ways, there is hope that you can rewire their brain. And I'm going to teach you how to do so a little bit. Now, for me, we don't have an owner's manual on how our brain works and how to reprogram our brain, do we? We're just told to remember, go learn, go, learn this, in school, but we're not taught specifically how to do so. So this got me real interested. Is how do I actually take control of my brain? Now, the first thing that happened was when I was so tense with all these anxiety attacks, I was getting massages to help deal with some of the tension headaches in the neck and the migraine, the skull. And one day, my massage therapist changed to a new clinic. And at this new clinic, I saw this little boy with these sensors attached to his brain, and I was like, whoa, what the heck is that? And it was brain mapping, and he was mapping his autistic son. This is the doctor I later worked with, did research with, apprenticed with, and I was in there the next day to map my brain. And the first thing for all of you is, the first step to optimizing your brain is seeing where your brain is really at. I don't want to be guessing if my medications, if my supplements or the therapies and stuff I'm doing are working or not for my brain. I want to actually see what's going on in my brain, because you know what's working, you know what's not working, therefore you know what to do next. And as I'm going to share with you, every brain is unique, and therefore requires a customized, tailored approach for each person. So for instance, I do lots of pretty brain maps in my practice, and so that was me on the left here, that was me 5 years ago, hospitalized, coming out of the hospital, 145 pounds, emaciated. This is me 4 years later, disciple of Shaolin, martial artist, disciple of Wing Chun, Ip Man Wing Chun, learning everything I can to transform my brain and body. This is me teaching, doing some brain maps. Now what you'll see here on the bottom right, that's what a QEEG brain map looks like. So for instance, when a child comes in and they're diagnosed with ADD, the ADD could be caused by 6 different types. You could have a blue brain, a low voltage brain. You could have a hyperactive brain with the motor cortex all hyperactive, and therefore their attention just jumping around like a squirrel. You could have sensory processing issues like the cerebellum, visual cortex. You could have infinite number of things. Therefore, you need to look and see actually what a person's dealing with. Now, I have a term that I've looked at, and it's the learning disorders. And learning disorders are actually learning differences. And people who have learning disorders are actually just temporarily and contextually inconvenienced. Because the brain works perfectly. It just may not be working the way that you want. So for instance, a child comes in with ADD, and the parents tell me they have ADD, everyone's telling them they have ADD and all these learning disorders. I look over to the left, and I see this child glued to their iPad, doing negative auditory hallucination, a deep trance phenomenon, aka blocking out all surrounding sounds, and they can remember and recite all the rules for the game and master the game. So I look at that, I was like, damn, that's a pretty focused brain. If only I could get him to focus in that same way and activate those same neurocortical pathways when he's in school. Because guess what? Not all teachers are going to be funny. Not all teachers are going to be interesting. Not all subjects are going to be taught in a way where we're motivated to learn. So therefore, one of the first things is getting you into the right state. And then having effective strategies. So who in here thinks that you're not a good speller, for instance? Anyone? Anyone feel they have dyslexia or lystexia? Part of this is because we're not taught the strategy. We have a grade 2 voice in our head that's just taught to sound all the words out. Now, if you need to sound a word out every time you read it, then your brain has to actively construct it each and every time, which means it's unreliable. Inconsistent, which means if you have anxiety, you go on a test, it won't work. Therefore, the solution of what people who do things well, and this is what neurolinguistic programming is about, studying the subjective experience of the mind to identify the structure of it, to take kids who do things well and people who do things well, identify what their brain is doing, and then teach other people who don't do it well how to do it, the same process. And how are you, sir? You too. So this is where spellers who spell well, they make pictures of the words. And therefore they have a remembered image, can spell it forwards and backwards. I have this one kid, Matt, and I'll show you. This is his brain coming in. So this is the child coming in diagnosed with ADD, dyslexia, motor coordination issues, diagnosis, he's up the yin-yang. And he's having issues spelling, remembering, and the parents are freaked out because they're wondering, is this kid going to be able to go to, university? Is he going to be able to take university biology? Now, something like biology is a very visual phenomenon. You have the anatomy of the cell and the clear images you can make in your mind, the more detail and precision you can get. So this is the kid who came in, and in one session, I got him into a relaxed, focused trance state, had him build a clear image of the brain in his mind, and I took my neuroscience textbook. I was like, okay, this kid doesn't believe he can spell, doesn't believe he can remember. I'm going to teach something that's totally beyond what he can comprehend or think he can do, and get him to do it. So you get the brain into a relaxed, focused state, then had him build an image, identify each of the locations of the brain, know what it does, spell it forwards and backwards, and I did a live test with him. We went on Facebook Live, and in front of 100 people, he recited perfectly each region of the brain. Simply by getting him into, number one, into the right state, and then number two, teaching him an effective strategy for the task at hand. So the thing is with the brain is it works, it just may not be working the way you want. But you can teach any dog any tricks, in my experience, and this has been the experience of a lot of my mentors, including Richard Bandler, who's worked with patients who they've said are incurable. Now, I want to give you something new, something that's not in the books. And that is a simple 101 on how the brain works. Now, we've all heard the distinction between left and right brain, yeah? You know, the left brain's supposedly the linear one, and the right brain's the emotional creative one, right? You know, that's what's standard, right? Now, when we look deeper inside the brain, we find it's much more than that. The left brain, actually, if we're in a forest, sees a seed and hyper-focuses in on it. It isolates it and focuses deeply on the seed, and then builds categorizations, generalizations based on that seed, removes it from context, to therefore create familiarity on how to act with every seed. So the left brain is the creature of routine. So what happens is we all were 4. We all learned language. And we didn't have a little voice in our head saying, oh shit, we're going to have to use this language to rehearse essays and give speeches one day. We just learned it unconsciously. And that's because initially our right brain's the first to develop. And the right brain processes things holistically. It takes it in everything in context. So when we look at medicine and we look at averages, norm, we look at the matrix and we see all these norms, you know, just different numbers, that's a left brain phenomenon. We're living in a left brain world, creature of routine, of habit. So part of this process is activating the right hemisphere of the brain, the natural super learner within you, so that way you can process things holistically, in context, and create the novelty to open up your brain. Because every one of your limitations are limited to the states of consciousness which you normally function in. And you change the consciousness, all of a sudden, new ideas, new abilities open up. Now, what is consciousness and how does the brain work and how does the brain mapping tie in? Well, our brain's kind of like a musical symphony. We have different regions of the brain which influence different things, which is like each region's like a different player in the musical band. You have the guitar player, the bass player, the singer, and what happens is we believe that if one region didn't work, the whole brain would be shit out of luck. But that's not what happens. Each region plays together to produce the song that we hear, and if one region's not working, we can get another region to take its place. So for instance, if the guitar player gets injured or quits the band, another player can learn to play the guitar, even if it's a different guy who's never played guitar before. Or people playing the existing musical instruments can change their tune and rhythm so that everything works together. So this is neuroplasticity, the fact that if your brain, if one of the players are taking a day off, if you had a concussion and one of them's injured, or if you were just born and your brain didn't form the natural way, you can use other players, other parts of your brain to develop those abilities. Make sense? Now I want to get into some of the meat of the seminar where I'm going to start doing some demonstrations. So you guys have any questions? Is that pretty clear on kind of how the brain works generally? A little bit, yeah. Well, questions will be for after. I'm just gauging. Now, part of the operation is how does our brain, our consciousness emerge? And what are the key points of operation to run our brain? And this is where, for us to know, one of the first things is that our brain, what do you guys think the number one instinct is of our body and our brain? Survive? Some people say sex, and I'm like, you wish. Self-preservation? It's to make things familiar. So people will kill themselves rather than face the unknown. It's because our brain loves what's familiar. It loves what's routine because it's designed to function efficiently. It's designed to learn, create behaviors, automate it so we don't have to think about it. So guess what's happening when you're just getting stressed, or my brain's just doing anxiety, or I'm just eating that chocolate cake and I'm staring it face to the face and it's saying like, eat me, baby. You ain't being too conscious. It's just an automated program. Now this is where, once you know that, we can begin to build new motor programs and begin doing unfamiliar things more familiar, and make the desired thinking processes and behaviors more familiar, therefore automated, therefore you can do them without having to think about it. Yeah. Now the second thing is, Who here has bought a car and then suddenly you started seeing that car everywhere? You started seeing that make, you started seeing that color. Did those cars just magically pop on the planet, or were they there all along? They were there all along, weren't they? It's because you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. Your brain will point out the things to you in the universe and the environment based on what its modus operandi is, based on what it thinks is important. So you got a new car, all of a sudden that's important to you. Hey, I got a new car. You start seeing the same colors, you start seeing the same make. Therefore, how you program the purpose of your brain will dictate what you see. Now, the biggest thing is we've been grown up and we've been trained to look for what's wrong. You know, what's messed up with me? You know, am I enough? Why is this problem happening? Teachers, parents, education trains us to look for what's wrong. For our entire life, every mistake we've made has been made with a big X. Shit. You know? How about the stuff we do well? Do we ever check that out? No. So part of the first thing is looking for what works and expanding it. And this is precisely what I do in my work. The third key you need to know is the brain's a targeting machine, which means your conscious mind, your body will take you where you aim your brain. So imagine your house like being this dark room, your brain being this dark room, your memory, everything you've experienced being this dark room. Your conscious mind is like the flashlight to shine a light on whatever thoughts, whatever images, whatever rooms that you're going to focus on. And our brain is always jumping around. Beta states, alpha waves, theta waves, delta waves, they're always happening all in real time. It's your conscious mind job to direct all that activities. Now most people just got the automated programs going on. They don't think, hey, I got a brain, I can control it. You know? So who in here, I'm going to do one because this is a whole life expo and we all love nutrition. Who in here has got a bad habit compulsion where they just eat food? Where it's like, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to do cigarettes, I don't want to eat this food, yet you're staring it in the middle of the night and it's just saying, eat me, baby, eat me. You got one? Do you want to get rid of it? You want to change it to a compulsion for something else? Yeah? Okay, why don't you come up here? And then we're going to do a group demo after for you guys, where if you guys secretly have stuff inside your head that you want to optimize, you can do it with me. All right?
Let's give a round of applause, everyone.
Come on, everyone. You can come sit here. Now, have a seat for a change, brother.
All right, how you doing, man?
Good, Chris.
Ron.
Ron, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
So, Ron, you don't need to tell us what it is. If it's something funny, you're welcome to share, because sometimes people are too serious, and that puts the brain in a stress state. We don't want that.
No.
So, you got a bad habit that you do that you don't want to do, but you keep doing it?
Yeah, well.
Is it certain foods that get you?
Foods.
Which foods get you, man?
Oh, jeez, what doesn't?
What doesn't? So you go into a grocery store. You just take the whole grocery store. You own some grocery stores?
No, I just like burgers, pizza.
Burgers, pizza. Okay. Well, I want you just to think of chocolate.
Yeah.
So you like get up in the middle of the night and then you go in the fridge and you find yourself chocolate milk, and the chocolate milk calls out to you and it's like, oh, Ron, drink me, baby, drink me. Yeah. Okay. Well, what I want you to do is close your eyes.
Okay.
Now, and I want you, when you think of chocolate milk, you feel like you want it, don't you?
Yes.
Now, when you see it, can you see a chocolate milk in your mind?
Yeah.
Okay, now, how big's that image of the chocolate milk?
Pretty vivid.
Pretty vivid?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see it, eh?
Yes.
You know the times it calls out to you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Morning, night.
Okay,
Yeah.
now what I want you to do, I want you to look at the chocolate milk and then double the size of the image of it.
Okay, whoa. There
Yeah. Don't worry, we're going to get that feeling somewhere else shortly.
Okay.
All right? Now, when you look at that, you really feel like you want it, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to trade compulsions. So we're going to train your brain, not this, that. Now, what do you think would be a better decision? Do you have like something that's important to you, like a guy you want to be who's like in control of his own brain,
Yes.
where the chocolate milk doesn't have more willpower than you?
That's right.
Would that be a good thing?
That'd be a good thing.
Okay, good. Now, take that chocolate milk image and just put it down in the corner of your mind. Shrink it down for a sec.
Okay.
I want you to just make an image of Ron being in control.
Yeah.
Chocolate milk not having more willpower than him. You got like a really juicy goal of something that would be like wonderful, like being fit, healthy, in shape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, you got one? Okay, double that one.
Okay.
You got it?
Got her.
Okay, double it again.
Yep.
Now make it bigger,
Got it.
brighter,
Yep.
and have it call it to you. Ron, I know you want to be me.
Yeah.
You feel it pulling to you?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Okay, now I want you to do is take that image and just shrink it into the corner of your mind like you have a little Windows screen. All right?
Yep.
All right, now pull up that chocolate milk.
Yep.
All right, and what you're going to do, Ron, you're going to get your body into this too. You're going to take the image of the chocolate milk and you're just going to shoot it off way into the distance until it's a tiny little dot. And then I want you to see popping up that big image of the Ron you want to be just coming right in front of you, like this.
Okay.
Real fast. Now pull up the image of the Ron you want to be.
Got it.
All right, now double the size of the image. Make it bigger, make it brighter.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Where do you feel that feeling the strongest? Bigger,
Yeah, bigger. Yeah.
brighter, strong. Come on, man.
More confident.
Don't fool around. Yeah, more confident. Get it in there. Let's go.
Confident, more sure of himself. Yeah. Can do it.
All right, well, you don't need to describe it. Now open your eyes.
Okay.
You play any sports?
Yeah, hockey, baseball.
Yeah? Okay, now think about chocolate milk.
Not really thinking about it.
What comes up instead?
Like being fit, drinking water, juice,
Okay.
things like that.
What do you think's going to happen now when you're like in the middle of the night and the chocolate milk's calling out to you, you hear it in bed?
Just go grab a drink of water or something.
Okay. Cool, man.
All right, thanks a lot. There you go, thanks a lot.
Now, what I'd like you all to do is I want you to just put your feet on the floor for a minute. And just choose a point in the room where some light's reflecting. And just gently stare at it. And take a deep breath in through your mouth. Hold it. Slowly let it out through your nose. And just gently close your eyes. And just think of one thing that's gotten the better of you. Close your eyes, sir. It's okay. One thing that maybe you've been eating or doing too much. And when you look at it, what I want you to do is first make the image of it. Notice where it is in your mind. Then make it a little bit bigger. Make it brighter. So that way you're the one controlling it for a change. And then see it and feel your body's response. Where do you feel that compulsion, that drive? Where do you feel it strongest in your body? And at first make it a little bit stronger. And then really fast, I want you to see the image of it and just see like a big hand just come and shrink it down to a dot. Just grab it and shrink it down to a dot. Blink it black and white. And then just relax. Just relax and clear your mind. Now, I'm going to give all of you a copy of the speech, lots of juicy details and stuff you can do to boost your brain. My question for you is, what would be something that'd be absolutely wonderful for you to use that information to work towards? What would be the person who's living even more exquisitely, experiencing more joy, more focus, more determination? What specifically would you be doing? And I want you to just take a moment, close your eyes, just make an image. If you need to leave your eyes open, leave your eyes open. But for a moment, just create a new direction in your consciousness, a new area to focus. You know that your brain's going to learn what's important and what's purposeful for you, so program that purpose. Just make an image in your mind and pick a simple thing. It could be just starting working out at the gym. It could be eating healthier. It could be laughing more and lightening the heck up a little bit. And just see that person that you want to be and realize you can design that person. You could see whatever you want. You could see yourself being stressed, being worried, yada, yada, yada. And you could look at that image and you could make it bigger or you could shrink it down. And you could start to see yourself the way you want. And what I want you to do is I want you to just take that image of the person you want to be and for a moment just shrink it down into the corner of your mind, such as a little square. And then pull up whatever bad habit you were doing. See it, and then really fast, I want you to shrink that down like you're closing a window screen, shrink it down, and then pop up that image of the person you want to be. Really fast. Pop it up, shrink it down. Do it 3 times until you're looking at that person you want to be and you feel drawn towards it. It's okay. Now, take the feeling and start to double it. Notice where you feel it in your body. When you look at that person you want to be, where do you feel it? People talk about feelings. Where do you feel it? Where do your good feelings start? Where does it move? And start to mentally trace it out. Your heart. And we'll double that feeling, man. Make it stronger. Yeah. It's your feeling. You can do whatever you want with it. You could let it build up from your head to your toes. Now tonight, before you go to bed, a time when you go through the theta, the hypnagogic states, I want you to just take a moment and look at your bad habits for the last time. Look at them, shrink it down, pop up that image you want to be, and start to direct your brain in the direction you want to go. And naturally, you'll start to feel more drawn towards it. Because the things that you and every client who comes in to see me thinks they can't do, they're doing right in front of my eyes. I have people who come in and they say, oh, I have a bad memory. And then I ask them, well, how do you know that? And they say, well, I have evidence of it every single day. Every single day I remember all the stuff I forget. And then they can give me a list of the 20 things they forget. It's like, how's that for a paradox? You know, he even puts it in his little frustration box. And he's putting it right here. So what am I going to do with that box? Trash it? Put something else in there. And then people come in and they say, I suffer from uncertainty. Anyone here think they suffer from uncertainty? Are you sure? Then there's the people who come in and they say, oh, my brain is broken. There's nothing you can do. And I say, interesting. And you trust your brain to make that decision about your brain. To evaluate the status of the billions of neurons and trillions of neurocortical connections. You, with your brain, are able to comprehend the status of all of it, then make a decision about what's possible for you in the universe. And they're like, huh? So the case is either that you're not qualified to make the decision, your brain isn't working, therefore I'm going to be the one to choose, or your brain is working and you just need to make it work in a better way. Now, how about those depressive folks? Aren't they a lot of fun? I look at them and guess what I see? A perfect memory. They wake up every day and they remember the same bad things over and over again. It's very reliable, it's very consistent. I'm thinking, damn, that's a good memory. Now what do we need to do? Just paint something a little bit better in there. Something that would direct them, maybe like the person they want to be. If they spent the 3 hours thinking that, being directed towards that, who here has got a bad memory? Or who's someone who worries too much about something? You got one? You want to do something about it, or do you want to keep worrying? You want to do something about it? You have something else that would be wonderful to put in its place, an idea of something you'd want to do? Yeah? You want to come up and do it with me? So you want to keep your worries. It's okay, a lot of people do. Booth 122, if you want to like privately get through your worries, you could just do the thing I did up there. Anyone here have a bad memory that they think about too much, that they want to get rid of? You want to get rid of the bad memory? Okay. How much time do you think you spend in a day thinking of this bad memory? A lot of time, like, we're talking 3 hours. I got some people who do it for 12 hours and they wonder why they don't have time for their wife or their life. Because they can't have a life. So you think about it once every 5 minutes. For like, how are you doing it like an hour interval every 5 minutes so you never really get the 5 minutes, or? Oh, right, it just happens until you start to do something about it. Now, when you think about this bad memory, you can remember it in your mind. Yeah, you can see whatever it is you think about. You don't need to tell us. The last thing I want you is installing bad memories in the audience. Because you're all highly suggestible. Well, you got a bad memory you think about too much? Yeah? Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to just look at it in your mind. Yeah, don't tell us about it, just look at it. Okay? Yeah, you're laughing at it already. Come on, try to feel bad and look at it. Come on. You can do it, can't you? You can't even feel bad now?
What? Bad?
Yeah.
Oh, just that feeling of...
Come on, it's your bad memory.
Oh, I thought it was...
Or your bad memory's changing. I said bad memory. Good memories, double. You got it? Okay, now, most of our bad memories, does it have a border around it? Like a clearly defined edge? Well, I know. Strange questions. Is there a border around it, or does it just keep emanating out? Is there no clearly defined edge? Oh, there is. Well, that's good. Now, what I want you to do, you got a favorite color? Yeah. Now, this memory, is it like life-size, bigger, or smaller? The memory you're thinking of, is it like it's life-size, meaning like the size of us in life, or is it bigger? Life size. Oh, that's not too bad. Some people got these big panoramic movies with like the sonic sound saying, you aren't enough, you aren't enough, you aren't good enough, you're lazy, you know, and they really get themselves into the state. But you know it's just life size? Okay, what I want you to do, see the memory. I know it's funny. And you spent how many hours? 3 hours a day maybe? Yeah, 150 hours a year, 10 years, 1,500 hours. You know, you could get a PhD in that time. You know, that's what I do. I just don't think worried memories. I just get all kinds of certifications and training. Now look at that memory, all right? Now what I want you to do, put a border around it. Real thick border. You got a favorite color? Yeah, don't give it to that memory. Yeah, least favorite color. Put it around, look at the memory, and then really fast shrink it down to a dot. Shrink it down to a dot. Then blink it black and white. And then just relax. Now, do you play any sports or anything? What's your favorite sport? Cycling? Okay, cool. How much time do you spend cycling?
I don't know, right now, maybe 3 hours a week.
Too busy worrying? Takes a lot of time. People are wondering, why can't I have time to go out with my friends? You know, too busy in here worrying. You know, some people need to self-medicate with drugs. I just do it with my brain. Brain's got all the drugs. People take whatever, cocaine, tobacco. It's just releasing stuff in the brain. It's your brain's response to it that's doing it, not the medication. So I just get my brain to do it. You know, it's free. It's sustainable without all the side effects, except better sex life, better love life, yada, yada, yada. You know. Now, well, I want you to try to think of that bad memory. Is it still there? Oh, really small. Now what I want you to do is send that little dot, just shoot it right off the universe. Good. Now, just think about something you want to put in its place, something wonderful. Like, how exquisite could my life become? How magical could I feel? How successful could I be? Every entrepreneur asks the question. They're not saying, oh, why am I messed up? They're asking, how can I create this as easy, as fast, as rapidly, as efficiently as possible? So a lot of them do. Richard Branson goes in, he's like, let's see how fast we can get this meeting over with. You think people are going to start talking about their bad memories in there? No, because there's the purpose. Now, does anyone get anxious? I was a master out of it. I anxious my way into a hospital bed, paralyzed panic attacks, but it did lead me to this life now, which is working out pretty good. So oftentimes the things which are the most difficult and traumatic for us are exactly what we need to step into what we want to be. Does anyone here get anxiety that they don't want to in situations like public speaking? Anyone who actually want to like have a fear of public speaking and get up here and say a few words? You know? Anyone? Come on, you can make serious changes in your brain here. Anyone get anxiety at all or no? You want to do anything about your anxiety? Yeah? Okay. Now, you don't need to tell us, but for instance, when you look at a little puppy and it's just licking you, do you feel anxiety? Oh, okay. How do you know when to get anxiety? No, I know you start feeling, but how do you know when? Like you're just walking along, you see a cute dog, you see a nice friend, hey friend. How do you know when to have anxiety?
It's like an emotional response.
Oh, I know it's an emotional response, but how do you know when to do it? So for instance, she was planning her day, and she'd have time for the worrying, and then at the end she'd end up no time to cycle. For you, how do you know when to have anxiety? Simple. It just pops up. Now, what triggers, what situations does this happen in? You don't need to tell us. Do you know when it happens? The last time you had anxiety? Okay. Now, when you get anxiety, and you think back to that situation now, if you take a moment and just go back, see what you saw in that situation, and start to get that anxiety back. All right, do it now. Where in your body do you feel the anxiety the strongest? Oh, now where does it start? Starts in your brain? And then does it move down? Okay, where does it go to after your brain? Now, which way does it move? Does it move down or does it move up? It moves down. So it goes from your brain, then it goes through your throat, then it goes to your heart. Ooh, it's a good thing to say to your heart, you know, stress. So it goes down. Now, where does it go after it goes to your heart? This is all really relevant. This is all stuff that you guys could do. I'm going to have the video of it. This is stuff you can do to program your own brain. All the stuff on the external technologies, neurofeedback, QEEG, brain mapping, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, brain power nutrition, that's all stuff you can come to the booth and see. You know, the external technology, that's already there. The internal side on how you can use your mind and consciousness to change your brain is stuff that you can do on your own and stuff that's missing. It ain't in the literature. It's not there. So for you, your anxiety goes down? Okay, you guys can, if you want to close your eyes and follow along while this is going, you can notice the direction in which your anxiety is going. Now, it moves down and it goes to your heart. Does it like loop back up to your brain backwards or forwards? How does it go? That's why I'm having you think about it. So just go back, see what you saw. Cycling forward. Yeah. Okay, now what I want you to do, you can do it eyes open or eyes closed. Go back to the situation, do the anxiety, now do it on purpose, make it even worse. Spin it faster. Get yourself real amped up here, just in the state. Spin it forwards, faster. Does that make you feel more anxious? Okay, now what I want you to do, keep spinning it forward, spinning it forward. Then just take a deep breath in through your nose. Gently relax and start to slow it down. Spin it forward, but a little bit slower still. A little bit gentler. Just slow that thing down. Spin it slower. And whatever images in your mind, just shrink those down all the way to a still. And just stop the feeling for a second. Then take another deep breath in, this time in through your mouth. Hold it. Slowly let it out through your nose. And start to reverse the feeling. And spin it backwards. Spin it from your heart all the way up to your brain. And then spin it backwards. And connect the beginning all the way to the end. Start to spin it a little bit faster backwards. All the way until you find a most comfortable, gentle state. And with that feeling spinning backwards, I want you to double it. Double the size of the feeling. Move it all the way down so it spins in through your feet, up through your knees, through your hips, through your heart, to your brain. Keep spinning it backwards. If you want to make it a certain color, make it a certain color. I'm a disciple of Shaolin. I do all kinds of Qigong. This is brain Qigong, trademarked, backwards, all the way. Spin it up to your brain. And keep it spinning backwards. And just hear some wonderful tonality in your mind like, ah, or Our auditory cortex isn't meant to yak at us and nag at us. It's meant to just produce powerful states. Now with that feeling spinning backwards, I want you to think of that situation and make a new image. See yourself just being relaxed, being in control, behaving in a way that you want to behave. And then pull up another image of another situation where you want to be more relaxed, more in control. Spinning your feelings on purpose. And the more you spin that feeling, the more you can start to connect it to specific behaviors. People say, oh, I'm not motivated. Oh, I'm not this, like they have a Buick. It's not something you have, it's something you do. Your anxiety is not something you have, it's something you do. And as soon as you know how you do it, you can start to undo it. As soon as you know how you scare the crap out of yourself, how you create your limitations, you can start to undo them. Now this works for areas where you feel stuck. When you feel stuck, your energy will be moving in a certain way, and you can start to spin in the opposite direction. Suddenly people feel unstuck. And guess what your brain's going to say? This is too simple. It needs to be more complex. And in fact it is. You're activating your brain, your gut and autonomic nervous system. You're changing the firing of your brain. You're doing all kinds of complex stuff, but you don't need to know that to do the behaviors. A lot of people aren't consciously aware of this stuff. We only take in this much of the visual universe through our senses. Just because we can't see things in our mind doesn't make it real. Just because we can't see magic, just because we can't see energies doesn't make them real or not real. Wi-Fi, all kinds of energies. So you can't possibly know about your limitations because you only see this much. And if you keep looking for what's not working, your brain will keep finding it. If you keep saying, I don't want cigarettes, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to eat chocolate cake, I don't want cheese, I don't want cake, I don't want butter. You know what the best one is? When people say, I can't eat that, it'll make me fat. And then their brain's just hearing fat, 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 fat. Then before you know it, you start eating lettuce and gaining weight. Oh yeah, I do all that stuff. And people are amazed how fast it happens. I did an awesome reframe. I learned this from some of my mentors. They're a little bit wacky, but crazy brilliant. That's what you look for. Nuts. And brilliant genius. Einstein, Tesla, they thought he was nuts. Bandler, they think he's nuts. I love it. Because he had this picture of a cigarette in his mind. I do it with all kinds of complex, sophisticated stuff. But in his mind, he saw a cigarette and it looked like a penis. You know, every time he puts that to his mouth, it could be a penis. And instantly, he was gone. He didn't want that near his face. Then I got out the cigarette. It's like, they're calling you, Eduardo. And he just totally spoiled it for him. So there's lots of different ways: hypnosis, trance, NLP, meeting the biological components. Just simple reframes. It's like people who have nervous issues and bite their nails. You know, do you realize that your hands just touch the washroom? You know how many people wipe their ass and touch that, and you're putting that on your face? Then when you see that hand coming, it's just ass cheeks, and someone's ass is puckering as it's coming near you. And you want to put your hand on that? Are you serious? They want no part of it. You spoil the whole thing. It's funny, the stuff people say, you know. Does anyone have anything fun? Anything that you guys, how much time do we have? 5-7 more minutes? You guys want some more science on the brain, or you want some demos? Some cool, interesting stuff? Quest? Q&A? Okay, let's Q&A it up. You guys will get all the science details. If you give me your email, I'll give you an actual written PowerPoint of the details on how the brain works. This, most importantly, is just to give you an experience of the key piece that's not missing, and that's the internal neuroplasticity. How you can use your mind and consciousness for free to create mega changes. So who has a real interesting question?
We know that the brain likes to be at 10 to 15 brainwaves kind of alpha. So my question to you, I know that I get to that state when I'm by the beach, but definitely that's not an easy access to me.
Can you go to the beach in your mind?
Yes, but it gets boring.
Is that like a yes?
Yes, but it gets boring. I want something real.
So why don't you go to the beach you've been real?
Yeah, because it's not easy to have access. I have not in California. So my question to you...
No, but you've been there before, right?
Yeah, and I right away...
Do you remember...
to that alpha state, right away.
You remember the beach you went to?
Yes.
Really? How long did you spend there?
The whole day.
How many days were you there on the beach?
Last summer maybe 30 times because we have beaches here in the summer.
Wow.
But now the winter kicks in. I have to pick 1 week to go to the Caribbean. It's not accessible.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, what will be the top 3 things that you would recommend that will get me naturally to that 10 to 15 brain?
Yeah. Well, my question for you would be, where do you feel it strongest in your body, that feeling of relaxation when you're on that beach?
Because then my mind is not cluttered because it's one scenery, the beach is just one.
I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you that. I asked you, where do you feel that feeling of relaxation? In your brain? Now, are you in there yakking at yourself, oh, I'm not stressed, am I alpha when you're there?
No, I feel that the thought pattern are 10 to 15. Like 10 to 15 is actually the number of thoughts you had. So I feel right away the voice in the head calms down gently, and I start using my forehead, and I see the beach, the beauty, everything.
Ooh. 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 Now, when you look at the world like that, and you hear yourself talking like that, where do you feel it the strongest in your body?
I'm just observant. I'm observant of the world. I start
But that's a good feeling. You know that you like it.
and I want more of it. But my question to you is, what would be the top 3 things that you would recommend for me?
Well, the top thing for you would be this. Because you got this belief that I can't do things with my brain.
I didn't say that. I said I believe that you can use your brain, but I want other things that are more
Well, this is where you can make your own mind more fun. If you actually take that memory and start to expand it, make it bigger, make it brighter, hear the waves, develop the feeling and start to amplify it, you can get into the exact same state and basically light your own candle and make your own mind fun if you start to focus it. But you can't go in your mind and start going, shit, it's not 10 to 15 yet. You need to just make it so and amplify it. Now,
what are natural stuff like life experiences?
so here's number one. Number one is the world and the earth alpha. So natural grounding, meditation. I do lots of hypnotic trance work with actual brain technology to train the brain to get there. So that way that becomes a new automated familiar response. So for instance, I can get myself into an alpha state whenever I want without any stimulus because I've done the training with neurofeedback and the technology so that I can do it on demand. And you can build easy triggers with your mind. So grounding, sunlight, and training with the earth, meditation, the neurofeedback brain training, which is tons of fun. Maybe, I have some fun. I have a lot of fun while working with people's brains. Then lots of like medicinal mushrooms, tonic herbs. I have a beverage called the Love and Libido Mocha. You put these superfoods in your body, 10 to 15 will be through the roof and you'll be having a good time. And
Lying in a hot tub, do you think that does it?
well, the tub's removed from the environment, so you're going to be removed from the energies and frequencies. You get some Epsom salts in there, you might get some more GABA, balance the glutamate GABA balance, and therefore help you to produce more relaxation. Epsom salt baths, great for anxiety, great for autistic kids, great for everyone to help relax and calm the nerves. Is that fun enough? How about going out dancing? Why don't you go out and dance, for goodness sake? Put on some music and go into alpha state. Alpha and beta endorphins. Making love does it too, I heard. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Does it always go in one way, like for everyone, or does it?
Everyone's different. So how you do your anxiety, this is where people like say, oh, I have anxiety. Rather than that being a bad thing, I'm like, oh, cool. How do you do your anxiety? I know I did my anxiety. And how you do your anxiety is unique to you. Therefore, what you need to do to switch that would be maybe you start to do the opposite. If your anxiety spins this way and your feelings of joy and excitement and passion move in another way, well, it's pretty simple what to do.
Can you repeat what you said, like the grounding, the sunlight, the Epsom salt?
Yeah.
You said a few other things.
So, grounding, feet on the earth, being in water like lakes, the ocean, tremendous for alpha. Sunlight, especially AM sunlight, this is where when you go on vacation, the sunlight and the grounding in the water create the trio of perfection for getting dopamine levels. That's why people feel better and feel more relaxed after vacations, because you're getting the sunlight, which has the UV light, which charges your dopamine. It's actually really good. Then you have the grounding. Then you have the water itself, which is full of electrons and full of lots of salts which nourish the body. So that's really great. So a vacation once a year, work harder, make more money, so you can take a week's vacation, get in the sun. All right, then do some meditation while you're there. Do some dancing. Have lots of fun. It's good for the brain. And then while you're there, probably some brilliant ideas will pop in your mind. It's because when you're not working on the problem, the solutions to the problem come. Is that good? Tonic herbs, medicinal mushrooms, neurofeedback, brain training, the neurolinguistic programming. What you just did with your feeling, by associating with your body, you just got into a more alpha synchronized state. Most people are in more of a beta state, which we can see here. This is the frequency spectrum. This is showing delta, theta, alpha, beta. Most people are in conscious, focused thinking state, and by virtue of being in that state, you have to be dissociated. In order to think about business, in order to think about family relationships, you have to be removed from your present moment experience, removed from your body. So when you get yourself into your body, into the feelings, you're naturally going into a more alpha, zen, meditative state. Simple Taoist meditation 101. I'm going to be teaching end of January. So if you want to take it, be a certified trainer, I'm going to do it at the end of January. And you'll be licensed through the Society of NLP with Richard Bandler's signature on it. So there's a lot of, unregulated NLP out there. So this will be through the actual society, Richard Bandler, pure NLP. Then you'll be able to, depending how far you want to take it, maybe start training yourself. If you guys want a copy of this and recommendations, you can give me your email or just come by the booth, give me your card, and I'll get the information to you. Any other questions? I'm doing the QEEG brain mapping for anyone who's interested in seeing inside your brain. You can come inside the booth. Usually in my practice, this is a $350 treatment. I'm doing it for $99 today to get a baseline look. I'll give you my analysis, give you a few of my recommendations on stuff that you can do to balance your brain right away. Specific with the nutritional recommendations, with the lifestyle recommendations to help balance your brain. 122, 123. The game changer. You can't miss us. All right, guys, so I'll be at the booth. Any questions if you want to come image your brain, see what some of the brain technologies are to rewire your brain, come on by. You're welcome to just come ask me any questions if you have some personal stuff, whatever you want. I'm here to help. And thank you for being here today. I hope you had fun.